Hi, love. So, the firstborn daughter, you take care of everyone. You became a parent before you even started your menstruation. You answer for your siblings' mistakes. You are the experiment child, and your accomplishments are overlooked because that is what's expected of you. In today's video, we'll be discussing the adultification of the firstborn daughters, the emotional burden that they have, their responsibilities, their relationships with their fathers, and everything in between. And hopefully by the end of this video we can come to a resolution that's gonna help you start your healing process as a firstborn daughter. Now, what puts the firstborn daughter at a unique situation is because sometimes when women are expecting, everyone is rooting for them to have a baby boy. And when they have a girl, it's almost like a disappointment. And subconsciously, the moms sometimes punish their daughters as a way of like, I wanted a son and now I have you. And now you have to suffer because I have suffered. I have disappointed people by having a girl first. And at the same time, I've had you, the girl, therefore you have to pick up some of this slack. This is my time to rest because you are here. You're gonna make my life easier. 2, 3. That's the difference between the firstborn daughter and the son, because the son being the firstborn, that is their glory child. That is a miracle in itself.
Aw, young love. I remember that feeling. My first boyfriend.
That's his mom.
What?
That's not his girlfriend, that's his mom.
What? What?
And as the son, you are the baby of the family because you are seen as someone that's going to provide and take care of the mom and the other kids financially later on. So we're gonna leave you to focus on school and let your sisters take care of everything else. Like, you are already a king before you even know how to speak. You know what I'm trying to say? So this is why I think firstborn daughter doesn't only apply for the girl being the first one to be born. There can be other boys born before her, but as she's the first girl child, she will still have that role and that burden that any other firstborn child has, because despite having older brothers, she still needs to take care of them domestically. That's what's expected of her. So I think that definitely puts her at a unique situation than any other sibling. I saw this video once of a woman saying that when a woman has a child, a baby girl, the first girl, people are already warning her when she's around 3 years old that, oh, she's gonna be trouble. Watch out for her when she's 16. Watch out for her when she turns 10 and she can now speak back to you. So it's like they're expecting you to already rebel. So the rules are like definitely on you, like 100 times more than they would be for the other siblings, because you are the first. Everyone's telling them this and this and that, so they're really experimenting on you. And that leads me to the adultification of POC girlies. Should I really use the word girlies here? Let's just say daughters. Yeah. Let's first define the word adultification. Adultification bias is a form of racial prejudice where children of minority groups, typically black children, are treated by adults as being more mature than they actually are. And this is definitely looking at it from a societal view, like how they're viewed on the outside, which is actually quite sad, because it's like these young POC girls are being seen as older than they are outside and also on the inside of the house. So it's like there's no winning for them really, because in the house, since they're firstborn, they're already given responsibilities of adults. Some adults can't even do those type of things, but they're already given at a young age. And when they step outside, they're just hanging out outside. They should know better. They should act better. They are not allowed to misbehave as kids do, because society already sees them as older than they actually are. So they really genuinely don't get to have a childhood. So this really leaves the child not really having a safe space for them to be and act like a child, because outside of their house, the way they dress, how their body looks, is already seen as them provoking or attracting attention, unwanted attention. And they don't feel safe. And also inside the house, they're also told that, they are acting mature, they're having a big mouth and all that. But then who's placing that all on them, right? They're not looking for this. That's just what's being given to them by society. So I imagine this young little girl, she's outside, she's playing with her friends. There are men whistling at her, grown men. She goes inside, she still has to take care of her baby siblings. So usually, like, when it comes to the firstborn daughters taking care of their siblings, there's usually a huge gap between, because it's almost like the experiment child, where the child was born and the parents weren't married, and then they finally got married, got their stuff together, and then they have siblings about 7 years later, or like 10 years later, and then there you are 10 years old and your youngest sibling is 3 years old. So you're already being a mother, basically. So you're outside, the men are whistling at you. You inside, you take care of a baby. So you've already like placed in society as one of the adults, but without the privileges of being an adult and making your own decisions, really. And you also get praise for your maturity a lot more often. You've probably heard this before. Oh, she's so mature. But that maturity is just you doing what you're not supposed to do at your age, but then people see that as maturity. I remember at my church a long time ago, there was this two girls who were about 11 years old, and they would always take care of their baby brother, like going to feed the baby, the baby would be crying and they'll go outside and try, just doing all these things, and people would be like, they're such good kids. But it's like, shouldn't the mom be doing that though? Like, I remember also seeing them like, they're so mature, like I wish I was them, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, no, they were not supposed to be acting that way. They were not supposed to taking their young brother to the children's lessons while they are missing their lessons. So now they had to act as the mother by taking, their kids. It's kind of, no, this is a story for later on. But like, do you understand what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to the responsibilities that the firstborn daughter has, it's a whole list of them. I have a whole list of them right here, and it might be too much to even get into like each and every one of them. You can add down below. There is this untrained leadership they're just supposed to automatically get, and I especially feel sorry for those that have many, like more than 2 siblings to take care of. But like, you have to be this leader for them. You have to check what they're doing. And it's like this emotional burden that is placed on you to always not be relaxed, but always watch what your siblings are doing, because again, you are gonna be responsible and blamed if they do anything that they're not supposed to do. You are supposed to be the role model. Do you know how much like pressure that's putting on a child for them to be a role model? They are in their age the first time. It's not like they've done this before. This is the first year they are 10 years old, and the last year they're 10 years old. So they should really not be responsible for doing everything right when they're a kid. That is a lot to place on a child. Because you see how people treat celebrities who were a good girl and now they're bad, and the parents are like, how you're supposed to be the role model. I think the parent should be the role model. Why are we always putting the responsibility of being a role model on other people, on celebrities, on the older sibling, on an actor? I don't know, someone. Like, why can't it be you? Why are you placing that on someone else? Clearly it's difficult for you. Why should it be simpler for the next person? So this responsibility is now putting this firstborn at a place where they can't make mistakes, they can't do anything wrong, because the other siblings are going to see that and be like, oh, so that's right, so we should do that. And then you get blamed. So if your siblings start, causing trouble, they're going to blame you, because you should have been checking them. You should have been doing better so that they follow your footsteps. If your younger siblings do bad at school, it's your fault. If your younger siblings didn't take out the chicken, it is your fault, because you are supposed to be the oldest. And it's funny because they'll be talking about it like the oldest, is 27 or something, but like they like in their teen years, they don't know anything. This also carries on to when you're even older, you've grown up, you will still have blame or sort of responsibility for your siblings, where it's saying it out loud, it doesn't sound like a bad thing, but at the same time, it's like the parents should have the ultimate responsibility for their own children. It should not be the other sibling. So that places this firstborn to not be able to spread out their wings, because everything they do is being checked, and they have no freedom, and because they are being checked every time, and that their siblings are always looking up to them, that also forms a control issue where the firstborn feels like they need to take control of everything, because if you do that, I'm gonna get blamed, all eyes are gonna be on me. And that controlling behavior also puts a strain on the sibling or the dynamic of the siblings, where there's a lot of resentment that gets built up, where I'm sure a lot of younger siblings look at their older siblings like, you were never really there for me. They're totally blind. They don't see this. You're like, you were never there for me. All you did was shout. You're just angry. You're so controlling. Like, I just want to get away from you. But they don't understand the pressure that they were getting from their parent.
I think the reason that oldest daughters are always kind of a little bit unhinged is because once they hit a certain age, they come into this realization that, like, oh, I never was a kid. I never got to be a kid. I've always been the supporter of my parents, my siblings. I've never once just got to be a kid or like a person. And so if you know an oldest daughter or an oldest sibling, give them a hug and say thank you, because they're probably going through it, and they're constantly probably going through it. So give them a little kiss, a little side hug, be kind to them.
Like, it almost feels like the older sibling hates the younger siblings, and totally understandable, because it's like how they're acting towards them kind of seems like it. But then again, it's not that they're doing that out of their own will, but what's expected of them. And all this also puts this perfectionism on them, and also people pleasing type of personality on them that they didn't ask, that they probably wouldn't have had, because since everyone is expecting them to have it all together, they always have to make sure everything is correct, everyone is falling in line, and they have to take charge of the situation, because if they don't, they will be asked, they will be accountable. If the house is a mess, if the other younger sibling is drinking or getting kicked out of university, the parents are going to ask you. It almost reminds me, it has nothing to do with this, but this scene in Friends. I'm recently watching Friends right now, and there's this part where Ross and Monica with their parents, and Ross is like saying everything, like he got married 3 times and stuff like that, and then all these bad things about Ross, their glorious child, right? And then out of all that, the parents still say or blame Monica, like, why didn't you tell us? Like, it's still your fault, but like, he's the one that did everything.
She's living with a woman named Susan. She's pregnant with my child. And she and Susan are going to raise the baby.
And you knew about this?
Which just reminds me, like, yeah, the firstborn daughter, she's the firstborn daughter, I guess, and a lot more is expected of her. I think it actually really explains it well, Friends. If you watch it, like watching how the parents treated Ross and how they treated Monica, I think that's very interesting. Like, she had to be responsible for him, for his mistakes, and I think that's what a lot of firstborn daughters go through. And that's her character, again, she's a perfectionist. She likes to take control and stuff like that. She's always doing the maximum, doing the best, just to get so little recognition. And another responsibility that is enforced on them is to be the babysitter, the third parent, as people say, or the second parent, since most fathers aren't really involved in their children's lives, and they are there, but like they're hardly involved. But like, having to change diapers, when you are young, having to take your sibling for school meetings. That's the story that I wanted to talk about. I had a friend who, okay, it's a little bit more complicated, but it happens. I'm not going to tell her whole story, but like, she had a niece that she had to take care of. She lived with her parents, right? And there was a niece and her, but she had to take care of her niece her whole life. She had to diaper her, take her, get her into preschools. She was basically a mother, and she was 15 years old. So that literally happens for other firstborn daughters. That is what they are, being the parent at an age where that really has nothing to do with them, and it's really not their fault. This actually reminds me of a series called Grand Army that I watched. It's a really good series, short series. It speaks on a lot of issues that need to be discussed, but I want to focus on the character called Dominique. She's an I'm gonna get into the firstborn immigrant, all that stuff, but like, she's an immigrant, right? And you see scenes of her just taking care of everyone in the house, cooking and cleaning, taking care of her younger siblings, all that kind of stuff. And it seems like the mom isn't really, I don't know what she's doing, or maybe she's working a lot. I forgot the series, but like, she was always taking care of the younger people. And the thing is, I'm African, right? We always live like with other family members. Like, it's like, well, at least where I'm from, there's always like some cousins there, someone's baby that's there, and somehow it all would fall to the firstborn child. And I thought there was an interesting series which really speaks more broadly on that and the effects of it for that child in school, which then leads me to the firstborn being an overachiever because of the pressure that's on them to always get straight A's, all that kind of stuff. It's like firstborns really do well in school because really it is expected of them, and when they do get really good marks, it's always met with, well, you could, like, they'll get like maybe a B plus, or why couldn't it be an A, or like an A, or why couldn't it be an A plus, they always do the things to their maximum, to like the best, but then it's never recognized. In fact, let me read this quote here that I got from Reddit. It says, academic achiever. Firstborn children may experience pressure to excel academically. Being the first to navigate the educational system, they might be expected to set high academic standards and achieve success with the hope of providing a positive example for younger siblings. So there you have it. They really do be having that expectation, because like, if you are flunking in school, what about your siblings? They're also going to follow that. If you're not studying, if you're not always seen reading something, like on your free time, you should always be reading something. You can't just have a free time. They're not comfortable with you like just laying back, you have to, let me play this clip because I feel like it really explains what I'm trying to say.
Hello, my Duchess. Oh, hi, Dad. The Duchess of Peckham. Have you done the dishes? Have you cooked? Have you cleaned? Have you swept the place? Have you mopped? Have you taken on the financial and emotional trauma and responsibility of the entire family, and also been the third parent today? Yeah, I have. Good.
Yeah, I think that about explains it. And also, this overachieving thing also places a burden to always know everything and be right and like be the person people go to. Like, you just don't have time to just not think. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It's like, you always have to have your game. People come to you, for advice and stuff like that. In fact, I saw a clip, Jackie Aina saying that, that she doesn't want to be called auntie anymore. She was being called auntie since she was like 20, and like people older than her were calling her auntie because they saw her as this. They put her up here when she was just like normal, not like she's down here, but like when she was just like being herself and being normal, but people are raising the standard. And I think just one of the things that explain how it feels being an older child. You're never allowed to just be yourself and just exist. Someone always to be like, you do this and this and that. Let me play the video because I think she explains it better.
It is never ever too late to rewrite your own narrative. You are allowed to be okay with something at one point
and then change your mind for whatever reason, and everybody around you will fall in line and they gonna know what time it is. They just gonna have to adjust. Now, before this goes from one to judgmental very quickly, this is a non-judgmental safe space. I'm allowed to express myself in a way that I see fit. And I hope that you can hear me out as a person first and an influencer like fifth. I'm still a person, okay? So just hear me out. I have recently decided that I am retiring my auntie era. I no longer want anybody to refer to me as Auntie Jackie. By the way, for context, people have been calling me that since I was like in my mid-20s. So it never really bothered me until people started taking that role a little too literally. I'm starting to notice people my age, even people older than me, when they interact with me, they almost kind of like infantilize themselves when speaking to me. I'll give you an example. People like in my age group or like even older than me will make those jokes like, I want to be like you when I grow up. Can you adopt me? And it's like, but you literally have kids. Like, you a mama of 4. You can't use that joke. Everybody can't participate in everything. I'm not gonna lie. It's weird being given like this caregiver motherly role to people who are supposed to be in my age group or even like more older, like the people that I'm supposed to be looking up to. I just feel like we've lost the plot. And people are interacting with me like I'm 20, 30, even like 40 years older than them sometimes. And just so we're clear, I completely understand what people mean when they say these jokes. Like, I get it. I really do get it. I know it's meant to be a compliment. I'm obviously not so far out of the loop. You don't need to explain it to me. Like, I understand that's what people say to people that they look up to or they admire. That part does not need to be dumbed down for me. I get it. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. One thing people do not tell you when you get to your 30s is a lot of your childhood comes back up. I'm the firstborn of 7. I'm also the child of an immigrant, firstborn daughter. I've always had to be like more mature than I should have been, or take on more responsibilities than I really should have, or like the third parent without really being asked of me. And I've talked about how some of that has still carried into my adulthood. For the first time at 35, almost 36, because it's about to be Leo season, this is the first time I finally feel like I'm my age. Like, I feel my age. I feel like my wisdom, my experience is all caught up to me. I'm 35 and I've experienced and have gone through what a lot of people in their mid-30s have gone through, but people still force and try to portray me like I'm much, much, much older and far more beyond than the age that I actually am. Like when people be saying to me, we're all your nieces and nephews, and it's like, you are 32. Pack it up, please. It for real makes me uncomfortable now. And I will even say, as a reformed people pleaser, and you know, all of the firstborn daughter trauma that I have, those types of comments like, can you adopt me? Can you take care of me? I want to be like you when I grow up. Those compliments do not hit the way you think they do. They just don't. I don't want to take care of millions of people. I don't. Don't get me wrong. This does not mean completely abandon who I am, what I stand for. Like, those principles can still exist. I'm still allowed to have boundaries, healthy boundaries. It is strange, I think, watching people talk about me and talk to me like we're not all growing up and maturing at the same rate. We are. Sometimes I feel like, wow, it must be nice that some people get to like pretend that they're like much younger than they are and make jokes and references to downplay their own age at my expense. And to be quite honest with you, my worth should not necessarily be tied to like how much I can take care of other people. I'm reclaiming my time. I'm reclaiming my time. I'm reclaiming my 30s. I also think it says a lot about how people define success as only one thing. For example, I never graduated from a university. I dropped out of college. There are a lot of people who follow me that have achieved and accomplished that. That's something to celebrate. A lot of people would consider things like parenthood to be an accomplishment. I've never been a parent. And accomplishments look like different things for different people. And it does not just have to include making a lot of money. Speaking of kids, as a 35-year-old woman without kids, I tend to get a lot of very strange comments, questions, you know, all the assumptions, whatever, what have you. And I made a post like joking about it. Like, why do people ask me why I'm still 35 with no kids? It was meant to be funny. It was kind of like, mind your business. And I got a very concerning, I'm not even gonna lie, like actual concerning comment, but also very telling. And it said something along the lines of, you gotta go through some things first because we see you as the blueprint and we see you as like what life is supposed to look like. I was appalled. Probably worst take, top 3 worst. So you just see me as like the sacrificial lamb, the guinea pig who has to like show you how to do quite literally everything in every phase of your life. That's not healthy at all. Nor is that my responsibility. No. But also, like, what if I didn't even want kids? When I started getting responses like that, I definitely was like, oh, I need a reintroduction. I'm not trying to bring childhood trauma into my adulthood and do this thing where I have to still be the example. It's like, when does it end? When I'm 70? Nah, babe, I'm vibing. I'm really giving myself permission to like be present and enjoy the phase that I'm in now. And it's really quite nice. Quite frankly, I've been in my selfish era for a while. Y'all haven't just picked up on that part, which I don't know why. Y'all already see what time it is with the content. The content definitely gives I'm at home, do not disturb. All of that to say, no, being called auntie does not bother me, and it never did. I have to retire it because of what it represents. It is really weighing down people's portrayal of me and people's unofficial responsibilities that have been put onto me against my will. Let me know if you relate to this, because I talked about this in stories yesterday and I was shocked at how well it was received. When something really bothers me, I really try to unlearn the pattern of being like, nope, you're overthinking it. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Sometimes that applies, but a lot of times if things keep creeping up and they just keep getting repackaged, it is that deep. While being like the mom of the friend group, those aren't bad things, but it's not necessarily the one thing I want to be known for. Shout out to everybody healing their inner child. Shout out to everybody who's had to heal and grow and evolve and learn, but also somehow had to like figure it out and be the example for everybody around you. Here's to the mom of the friend group, the people pleaser, the one that everybody thinks you got it, even though sometimes you really don't got it. And sometimes you're really not okay. I overstand. Effective immediately, I will just from now on be politely telling people, no, you may not call me auntie. And I'm also going to be a bit more overt about things like the adoption jokes and the growing up jokes, just because I simply think it's become a little too normalized. People are just a little too comfortable with those types of jokes. Definitely don't call me mom. Hell to the no. Been shutting that down for years. So this may require a little bit of adjustment for a lot of people, because people have been calling me that for a very long time, but y'all be all right. You can catch on quick. All right. Y'all are grown. You can do it. I believe in you. And either way, you ain't got no choice. And reminder that just because you were historically okay with something and something never bothered you previously, then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you change your mind, that's okay. You're allowed to reframe people's perception of you. So much of the phase that I'm in now really represents putting myself first, rest, and the good people around me who have really allowed me clarity to see that, like my Forever Mood team, like my family, like my man. And honestly, also a lot of you who follow me. Thank you to all of you who really give me permission to just exist. And also, you may or may not see me make multiple pieces of content on this topic, because a lot of the people around me have years and years and years of unlearning to do. So if this message becomes redundant, please forgive me. I may need to make this announcement a few times for the people who haven't caught on yet or caught up yet. So on that note, I gotta go. Bye.
Now, the relationship between the father and the firstborn daughter is something that I was trying to research on, but really couldn't find any actual articles about or people talking about it. But for the sake of this video, I just wanted to just make a short little theory on what is happening between them, the father and the firstborn daughter. And one of the things I think is that there's an authority issue. There is the father who is the authority figure, and then the firstborn daughter who has been giving this authority over their siblings. So already there's two heads in the house that are bound to not really agree, because there's this anger that the firstborn daughter has towards the father of why did you put me in this situation, and why aren't you doing more to help mom? Now I'm taking the place of mom, being the other parent. So I think that's one aspect of it. And there's also the father probably wanting a son, but then getting a firstborn girl. So it's kind of the frustration of that, and wanting your girl child to toughen up to be like the son you've always wanted. So I think that may be one of the underlying issues, where you see, the firstborn girl, being the tom girl, being, doing this and that, because it's they're really trying to impress their father so much, or trying to be the boy they never had. I don't know. That's just one of my theories. And also how the firstborn daughter looks at how the father handles situation and does the same, maybe subconsciously or consciously. Then the father gets to see how he looks. He's looking at the mirror, and sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. So it's kind of they're always butting heads. Obviously, there are relationships where the father and the daughter are perfect. They love each other. I'm not saying that other people don't love each other, but they get along well. But then there's others, most, where they're always arguing. They're always the ones fighting, trying to keep the family together. And the firstborn daughter even defending the mom, who doesn't really speak up sometimes, So yeah, that relationship dynamic is it's an interesting one. And if you feel you can explain this better, please do in the comments how that dynamic really works. Now, when it comes to the immigrant firstborn daughter, now that's a unique situation right there. I mean, when you are going to that new country, maybe you were like 3 years old, but regardless of that, everyone in your family is experiencing something different, but you are expected to have got it just like that because, you are the one going to school, you're the one that's going to learn the language easier. So you have to be the one reading the electricity bills or things like that, helping your parents out. And that's already making you grow up faster, because why do you know about budgeting at 9 years old? Or why are you doing your parents' taxes at 16? That's definitely a job for the adult, but because you are in this new country, I don't know where they get this, but there's a lot expected of you. In fact, she really explains it very well.
So you're telling me I have to be the first one to assimilate into this country, the first one to understand the culture, financial system, educational system, corporate system, because my parents immigrated from Mexico, by the way, all designed to make me fail. And I'm also supposed to be the first one to get educated, get a degree so I can get a good job, so I can start creating generational wealth, so I can be the first one that can truly invest in herself and start going to therapy, so I could be the first one to have a healthy relationship with myself and pursue to have a healthy relationship with a significant other, and that it is my duty to mentor others in their career and personal life journey, because I'm one of the few that will understand because they have lived through it. All right, y'all will catch me on the other side because I'm almost there.
And for some, the whole family is really looking to you because you are supposed to change the lives of everyone. You are supposed to bring everyone to a better place. So your aunties and uncles back home, they're really waiting on you to graduate and have a good job and send money for them to come. So it's really all on you. All the applications and visas and stuff like that, it's all on you. The entire family is really hoping that you be the one to get them out of their space they're in, whatever reason they had to come to another country, which is obviously money reasons for most people. So you really are left with no room for error. Perhaps when other college kids are having fun, you have to grind. There is no, second chance for you. You have to get a scholarship, okay? You have to make sure you do so well in school, you can't get kicked out, all the student loans and stuff like that. It's really difficult for you as well, but you're supposed to know these things. You're supposed to research these things because it's a new country. There's new rules. There's so much pressure on you. It's really sad, actually, all that on one person. And this better life you're supposed to create for your family, that's why you see in some of movies that you watch of the immigrant child, the parents say, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna be, because they really are putting their last eggs or coins on you, eggs, that's weird, because it's if you want to take a risque career of singing or influencing, stuff like that, that's not a guarantee for them that you're going to pay back what you owe, because they're really investing in you and you have to pay them back. They have to get their money's worth, all the hard work of putting you in university, you have to pay it back. So you really don't have a broader choice of choosing what you want to take, where you want to take your career, and that you have to probably pay for your siblings as well, or pay for your family as well. So there's a lot on your shoulders. You have to take care of everyone in the family. So you're going to school, you're not going for yourself, you're really going for the family. And what's sad is that sometimes the parents don't understand, since you're in this situation in another country, that there is biases that happen, there's prejudice, there's, you can't get the opportunities that you think you might get because of the skin of your color, because of how you speak, your name, can be discriminated. Because normally when parents move to another country, the immigrants, they really still have this mindset of all you need to do, as boomers do, or Gen X, Gen X, that you work hard and then you get paid and then you live life. They don't see the in-between of racial biases and all that kind of stuff, which may be a hindering for you to get a job. The actual economy. A lot of people these days are graduating but still working at McDonald's. It's happening. Graduating doesn't mean as it used to, so it's not really a guarantee, and you have this pressure to find something as soon as you finish school, but it's really not possible, even for the people that are from that country. So imagine for you, an immigrant, a person of color. So, and you try to explain that to your parents. They're not going to understand that. They're not going to understand that they are, someone's being, racist towards you. Like, they just know that you have to work hard, and then it's going to pay off, which it's not as clear or as black and white as that in real life. And I think that's why some of the firstborn daughters will even have like anxiety issues, because they're really afraid to fail. They are the first experiment. They really don't know, they really don't know what they're doing. It's their first time, people always make it seem like applying for college, knowing what you want to do is so easy, but like being the first to do that and not really knowing anyone else that has done that is a complicated issue. It's not simple at all. Understanding, who to go to, faculties, all that kind of, like, it's also complicated, learning how banks work in other countries, all that. It's a lot. That's wild, man. So there's also the eldest daughter syndrome, which I would like to read about. Eldest daughter syndrome, EDS, while not an official psychiatric diagnosis, is often unconscious family role that many young girls inherit as the oldest child, in which they find themselves doing more domestic labor, emotional caretaking, and face higher expectations than their younger siblings. So basically everything that I've been talking about. Then we have the question, how does this then affect the oldest daughter as she grows up and starts beginning to have romantic relationships, even friendships and stuff like that? And I think one of that can be the controlling issue she may have developed, where that can cause an issue in a romantic relationship where she wants to control everything. That's what she knows. She doesn't even realize that she's doing it, and that can obviously make conflicts within the relationship.
I want leadership, but don't just like boss me around. Like lead me when I'm in the mood to be led.
And on top of that, they're also most likely to be the breadwinner, because really they have been sent to university, most of them. They have overachieved. They have their things. They have their bags, so they're the breadwinner. And then that can also, cause problems if they are in a relationship with someone with a really fragile masculinity. That's a whole nother issue, an eldest daughter being with the last born. I think that's a very interesting turn, because I can imagine her probably seeing the guy as a sibling, or not really as a sibling, but like someone she has to take care of, as she did before, and the youngest also wanting to be taken care of because that's what they used to. So that's definitely something. It can also cause them not being used to being taken care of, so they really don't know how to relax and just let someone take care of them. And I guess that can cause problems in their relationships. They feel like if they don't do something, then it's not done right. And I guess that can cause also problems within their friendships, as well as, wanting to be the mom of everyone. Yeah, there's always, when I see those videos where it's like, she's the mom of the friend group, I was wondering if they're the firstborn daughter, because it's most likely, they take care of everyone and no one takes care of them, and they feel underappreciated, and then it just becomes a one-sided type of thing where they're giving and never really receiving anything. So generally they are just overworked. They've really been working from a young age, they've not had rest, and some of them make the conscious decision to not have any kids anymore. And can you really blame them? Some people are like, oh, you're selfish, but like they've literally been raising kids when they were like young, and they're tired. They don't want to do it anymore. So can we blame them? We cannot. And I think she really explains it very well.
A lot of these eldest daughters or only daughters as adults chose not to have.
Eldest daughter here, first gen. Thank you for starting this conversation. Why don't you want to have kids? I've already had kids. They're called siblings. I already know what it's like to help someone with their homework. I already know what it's like to dress someone, put on their clothes in the morning. I already know what it's like to counsel and advice on where you're going to go to college, whether you should be in sports or not, how to navigate friendships, how to navigate breakups. I have siblings. I've already done all of these things. I've already had children. Why would I want to do that again just because they came from my own womb? Oh, well, you get to be there side by side when they go through some of the most important things in their lives. I already did with my brother and sister. I already did. Here are the important parts. When they transition from elementary to middle school, from middle school to high school, from high school to college, when they have their first girlfriend, when they get engaged, when they decide what college they're going to go to, when they have their first breakup, when they're starting to have sex. Been there already. I don't need to have my own kids to have these conversations. If you want to have kids because you want to have kids and you've always wanted to have kids, great. But if you're on the fence, or if you think that you want to have kids because everyone tells you that you're going to miss out on something, it's not that big of a deal. As an eldest daughter who has had pseudo children because they helped raise their siblings, it's not that big of a deal. Don't do it unless you will regret it every single day of your life, 100% of the time if you don't. I have a child-free life by choice, and every day it just reinforces that it's the best decision that I've ever made.
So I asked on my Instagram stories, like, if you are a firstborn daughter, like how do you feel about that? And someone said, I feel like a mother, bro. Yeah. And oh, my cat. And someone said that it's very tiring and draining. To sum it all up, it's honestly a horrible experience. And the other person said, parents sign out at some point and you have to take up the responsibility of deputy parent. Someone said that you learn independency early and you have the privilege of deciding stuff by yourself, and you are forced to be the first to try new things, which can be, pro and cons. And also pressure, you have a lot of pressure, and someone said you have someone copy you, and it's annoying because if you mess up, they'll do the same thing and they will be in trouble, basically. So those are some of the comments that I got from people that are actually older siblings. And I'm going to say this at the end of the video. I am not the oldest sibling. I actually have an older sibling who helped me make this video. And that's one of the things I wanted to put in the conclusion, that I think it's very important to have these discussions with your siblings, because you can go on for life a long time without really addressing the underlying issues of your problems with your siblings. And that can be one of it. Instead of just saying like, yeah, go to therapy. Not everyone can afford therapy. I used to be those people like, just go to therapy, as if I can even afford therapy, girl. So I definitely encourage you to speak to your siblings and to go to therapy if you can, to really unleash all this trauma that has happened to you, because you deserve to be heard. And I have put up my platform to just help people where I can, even though I might not experience something firsthand. I have people that tell me their stories, that tell me to speak, to give them a platform to comment down and really release whatever they're feeling inside. And just to leave you on a positive note, there's this video this lady made, and I think it can help you. Yeah, let's just roll the clip.
You don't have to show up from a place of trauma anymore. You don't have to show up from a place of fight, flight, or freeze mode anymore. You have made it through the years that you had to survive. The years that you had to survive your way through instead of live your way through. You can allow yourself to put down the responsibility of carrying everything and everyone. I promise you, things and people can and will survive even without you holding them up. So give yourself a chance. Allow yourself to have people be there for you, even as much as you've been there for them. But most of all, allow yourself the chance to be there for yourself. I know that at times, with being a firstborn, with being a daughter, with being a firstborn daughter, it can feel like nothing can survive without you. Nothing can make it forward without your contribution. But I promise it can, and I promise it will. In the beginning, it might feel like chaos. It might feel like the wrong move to make because everything is still finding its place as you step back and allow it to. But with time, everything will be okay. You don't have to keep showing up with strength. You don't have to keep showing up as the one who knows it all and is always okay. You've made it to the point where you can allow yourself to crumble with no consequences.
Anyway, see you guys next time, and if there's anything that you like me to speak about, I'll probably make a poll. A lot of polls to let you guys help me decide the next video, because sometimes I've been having really wild video ideas which are just odd. So you guys can help me to see like what you actually are interested in watching. So also, I'm on a couch because yesterday I went to the gym and my muscles are tensed up, so I could not sit on a chair that side of the living room. So that's why I'm on like really nice couch and just like relaxing. Yeah. Anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.